Hello, I'm Liz Smith. This is Assessment 3, Facilitating Engagement and Collaborative Relationships with Children and Adolescents and their Families. The case study today is about Maya. She's 13 years old. Her history is trauma-based when sexually assaulted by her tutor when she was 8 years old. She did receive counselling for that sexual abuse experience. The duration, outcome and reason for ceasing the counselling is unknown or unspecified. Her current presentation includes self-harming by cutting for the last 12 months. It has been identified that she self-harms when she feels anxious about situations, including social, attending school, eating in the presence of others, and when engaging in social media. Maya often feels like the comments she's reading are aimed at her specifically. She is limiting her expression, using monosyllables when conversing, and is largely not interested in engaging in therapy. Maya is accused by her parents of negatively impacting her younger sister and is potentially causing stress and anxiety for her parents and school staff. Her parents believe that she is self-harming for attention. The biopsychosocial model accurately describes Maya's functional issues and correlates to her presenting symptoms and actions that is interconnected to her psychological state. Relationships, sexuality, and functional aspects are also affecting Maya's thoughts and actions. Sexual assault by a trusted person at the age of 8 results in significant impact on development in a global sense, including biopsychosocial, relationship, sexuality, and functional awareness. Maya is currently in the identity versus role stage of psychosocial development. Her brain is underdeveloped and at a stage of understanding and embracing the ideas of identity and role. Her trauma background could be influenced by her development as she navigates the ideas of sexuality and relationships. Maya's self-harming is related to her abuse, and although she has counselling at the time, it was 5 years ago, and she may be unable to reconcile and understand what has happened to her and hence now punishes herself, a maladaptive coping mechanism. Research shows that non-suicidal self-injury, NSSI, is a warning sign for psychosocial and or psychiatric disorders. Maya's social interactions at school and eating with others cause Maya to become anxious and may be a function of her inadequate feeling of self and identity shift due to her trauma experience. She may feel shame and blame herself for what has happened, as she may not have processed this experience through counselling to have a mental understanding, and now is causing anxiety and self-harm presentations because she thinks people know what has happened and that they are judging her. When Maya is reading social media comments and finds them to seem like they are written about her, this is an unaddressed inner fears that she was the cause of the sexual abuse and potential problem with herself, hence the inward focus. In the family setting, Maya is seen as a bad influence on her younger sister. She has shut down at home, hence outward actions to express her needs for help. Her monosymbolic responses are also a presentation of not being heard and shutting down due to conversations that may be focused on how she is talking and not what she needs to be understood and reassured that she is okay and that it's not her fault. Maya needs to be heard and listened to. The need for open communication is currently stunted, and she is trapped inwardly with her thoughts and critical development stage where she is finding identity and role. Cognitive behavioural therapy would identify negative patterns of behaviour and thoughts, correcting them over time with positive alternatives that Maya can understand to accept that she wasn't to blame for the trauma and that in social settings others don't know what has happened to her and she doesn't need to shut down. Working on positive self-affirming reinforcement to override her shame at this vulnerable developmental brain stage in her life. Biopsychosocial aspects would suggest that Maya should not go to school every day and start a preferred plan for select days. She should also limit eating around others until her anxiety is treated with medication and CBT. Reintroducing anxiety-causing situations slowly is key for a long-term mental health rebound and success. Untreated, Maya would continue to self-harm, experience anxiety in social situations, and her verbal shutting down and inability to communicate effectively would all remain and continue to escalate. She may start to attempt suicide as she moves into the hormonal teen years and develop further disorders. Maya's parents could have a range of issues stemming from potentially blaming themselves for Tudor's employment and not for continuing Maya's counselling, and for not treating the situation with more seriousness. Her parents both need assessment and initial counselling to determine the extent of the effect on individuals and the family as a whole unit. Her younger sister would require ongoing counselling to help her dissect and understand what has happened to her. Relevant ethical principles, regulation and standards of care include areas of trauma-informed care principles, TIC, are state-dependent, and safety is the prime focus. Ethically speaking, the information around Maya's sexual abuse may be sensitive and confidential if there is a current court case. If the matter is resolved, then the details of Maya's presentation can be discussed with her GP and paediatric psychologists and psychiatrists. They have a duty of care and they work in a confidential space. The counselling she received at the time, at the age of reason stage, where there is growth of the frontal cortex, allowing for complex thoughts and reasoning. This is a stage where Maya's reasoning could have adjusted to the traumatic event and miscategorised it as the cause of the event. Reintroducing trauma-informed counselling and CBT therapy for reversing thought patterns is a justified path for her plan. Her family are also in need of treatment. Each require an assessment for anxiety and depression alongside general practitioner and suitable trauma-informed counselling. Maya's parents also need to have their understanding addressed, as it is not in line with the reality of the situation. The presentation behaviours are not for attention. They are responding with negative attention rather than understanding and acceptance, and providing her with trauma-informed care responses that she needs to understand herself. Challenges in this space would involve Maya's parents acknowledging that their understanding perhaps is incorrect and needs adjustment to accept moving forward. Maya's younger sister would also require psychosocial assessment, maybe a heads assessment, to ascertain the developmental impact and establish an individualised treatment plan to help her understand what has happened to Maya and to align a healthy individualised mental health care plan for her. Maya is a minor and her consent for treatment comes from her parents. Maya also needs to give her consent to communicate and agree to participate in treatment. Acknowledging Maya's age, current communication difficulty and presentation, it may take time and a skilled approach to have Maya understand why she is seeing a professional and how this engagement is going to help her. Over time, when Maya understands the treatment plan and agrees to participate, then she can give her consent. Presently, she's not in a fit mental state to provide the consent at this point. The duty of care is to consider the risk of providing treatment that benefit well-being so that the interventions don't harm and provide long-term quality of life. The parents currently do not present with mental health symptoms and therefore can provide consent and support as directed by a mental health care plan for Maya. Maya would not be in a learning state at school. Her anxiety in social settings prevents her from being able to listen and process information, making school learning impossible. Hence, her school refusal is in keeping with her complex presentation. Practitioners working in a broad range of mental health areas have identified that increased awareness of the need to provide services that are trauma-informed have been since the early 2000s. Trauma-informed practice is a term that encompasses a range of behaviours that practically apply to promote trust and safety, improve services effectiveness, and share control with clients, power and control with clients, and result in an enhancement of client-practitioner relationships by increasing the client-centred approach to the service. This practice is not designed to re-traumatise clients. It is focused on the improvement of outcomes with people who have experienced trauma. Trauma-related responses can be incorrectly attributed to coping strategies, posing a challenge to identify emotion regulation, disruptive behaviours, and hypervigilance as aggression, belligerence, and cognitive or personality disorder. disorders. These considerations are primary when deciphering presenting behaviours. A key challenge is identifying behaviours as trauma-based and not misleading them. Research has found that 50 to 75% of children have been exposed to one traumatic event by the age of 16, causing a range of long-term physical and mental health effects. Engagement challenges include initial understanding of the traumatic experience, separating self from the experience to address shame and blame issues, and identify negative punishing thoughts and associated behaviours. The challenge is to employ the collaborative engagement of all relevant services and key family members to provide a holistic devised plan that is developed with the highest possibility of success of implementation. Rationale involves collaboration and agreement on steps to supporting Maya in the immediate and long-term future.